This section of the presentation is going to dive more into the elements that you need to include in a proposal for your thesis or your dissertation. Whether you write a thesis proposal or a dissertation proposal, you will need to include the title page, the table of contents, your Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, as well as your references of the sources that you cited in the text and your appendices. I'm going to break down these elements individually, except for Chapter 2 and Chapter 3, which are delivered in separate modules. We will have already gone through references that follow the APA style, so I will not revisit that content. For your title page, our Utah State University School of Graduate Studies provides you sample title pages that you need to edit for your proposal. You can find these in the USU Publication Guide. In these examples, it says that a dissertation submitted in partial fulfillment for the requirements of the degree. You must edit that content because you have not completed a dissertation, and for a thesis you would just change out the word dissertation for a thesis. But you guys are on the proposal stage, so you're expected to say and adjust the verbiage to be thesis proposal submitted in partial fulfillment of the requirements of the degree, or dissertation proposal submitted in partial fulfillment of the requirements of the degree. You type the title of the paper in all caps, double-spaced, in inverted pyramid format. You use words instead of symbols whenever possible, and you do not use abbreviations. You use capitalization and spacing as shown in the sample. Do not use boldface type. You type the name of the major professor who is your chair and each committee member, then the vice provost for the graduate studies below the signature line for each name, respectively. And if you have an odd number of signatories, you center the odd numbered one. The date indicates the year in which the proposal is submitted to the School of Graduate Studies and to the Institutional Review Board for approval to work with human subjects. And then regarding post-nominal letters after a professor's name, you might have MS, PhD, or EDD, and the committee and department will decide whether or not they're required. We do require them on a title page. However, including the post-nominal letters after the vice provost signature is always required. We never use doctor before name. It's not allowed. I need you to spend some time thinking about the title of your proposal. This is the first thing people will see when reading your work. So when you're writing it, use the chapter title style that's in the chapter titles from Microsoft Word. And the style is a 12-point font, Times New Roman, double space, centered in all capital letters. So when you think about the title for your proposal, look at keywords or phrases that would give a very concise, clear picture of what it is you're researching. You might edit your proposal title, and it's unlikely to be the title used for your actual master's thesis or dissertation that's published in the library's database, because your committee can make suggestions, and many times you just need to indicate the major variables that you're studying or the nature of your research, whether it's a descriptive study, a correlational study, an experimental study, or who's your target population for your study. We do like to use avoid words that are vague and boring, like a study of, an investigation of, a survey of. You can develop ways to write more engaging titles. I suggest you look at the examples in our resources tab in our Canvas page, as well as look at the USU dissertations and theses that are published in our library. I want to share some examples of titles of studies published in my discipline of agricultural communications, as well as the disciplines of family consumer science education, extension education, and agriculture education. We have an audience-focused approach to framing climate change communication in agriculture. Evaluating Utah for STEM curricula used to promote STEM and Utah 4-H programs. Family Consumer Sciences Teacher Needs Assessment of a STEM-enhanced food and nutrition science curriculum, And lastly, the use of Family Consumer Sciences County Extension faculty to provide emergency preparedness education in the western region of the United States. Now, there are pros and cons to these different titles, clearly. And you're going to just need to find titles that best show the variables that you studied, the population you studied, how you studied that topic. And one recommendation I have is to brainstorm several titles and then share them with your committee chair and see which ones the person would think would be most appropriate. That way you have a brainstorming point and you know what they're thinking and what the committee might approve for a title. For headings, we use Chapter 1 Introduction, Chapter 2 Literature Review, Chapter 3 Methodology, References, and Appendices. All these are centered on the page, all uppercase letters. You can follow the sample pages and the rules for the USU publication guide. I suggest, if you're using Microsoft Word, just to consider creating a custom style that will allow you to quickly and consistently format the headings in the body of your document. Using the heading styles in Word also allows you to use the navigation pane and move more easily around your document and to create an automatic table of contents. In Microsoft Word, you just have to make sure that you choose all of it and that's compliant with the USU publication guide. For headings and subheadings within the chapters, we follow the APA style. We typically will do levels 1, 2, and 3. I honestly have not found a lot of levels 4 and 5 in our research, but this will be a great table in Chapter 2 to help you format those headings and subheadings properly. You need to include a table of contents. A sample table of contents for either a thesis or a dissertation is provided in the USU publication guide. The detailed table of contents needs to list each of the elements of your chapters, and it's going to help locate all of the sections easily. I like to hyperlink each section just so the hyperlink takes you to the right page in the Word file, and then those hyperlinks make it easy to navigate and to read. You do need to include your appendices. This is supplemental information like forms for collecting information, a questionnaire if you're doing survey methodology, an interview guide if you're doing intensive interviews, recruitment communication if you're sending emails or letters for the survey. And then if you're using any copyright materials, you must have permission letters to publish those items in your thesis or your dissertation.